All right, welcome to another episode of Investing with Quito. I got my co-host here, Jeremy. Jeremy, how are you
Hey,
today?
I'm great. I'm great because I'm with you, and it's good to be with winners. It's good to be with people who think differently.
Ah, well, thank
Yeah.
you. You're so kind. I actually look forward to our to our episode every week. Coming in, it gives me a chance to connect with you and see what you're up to and learning from you. So
Yeah.
it's awesome.
I think we talked about this last week, and yesterday we had our meetup, and it's so great to be around people who think like you and people who just get what you're trying to work for, because a lot of people just don't. And the people who encourage you and like press you on to like do other things. It's not a usual problem for most people I talk to talk about how they're going to raise $500,000 for a project, but that's a normal conversation for you and for us. Like that's pretty cool. So it's a lot different and it really encourages me to like raise the bar and step forward. So yeah, I appreciate our time together too.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about, is kind of brought up earlier, is I'm not really sure about focus, right?
Hmm.
Because especially in real estate, there's so many aspects that you can do. I mean, gosh, I mean, you could wholesale, you could do rent to own, you could do lease options,
Hmm.
you could do fix and flip, short-term rental, mid-term rentals, rent by the room.
Yeah,
I mean, like Airbnb arbitrage, right?
there's so many options
Yeah,
with real estate. It's crazy because there's so many options. It's overwhelming even where to start. And even that way in business as well, like there's so many things you could do in business. Like there's unlimited opportunities before you to find leads and to generate income. It's
mhm,
like, where do you focus your attention that gets the most return? Because would you say like you can make money in any of those spaces,
right.
but it takes intention and focus to actually make it happen? Would you say so?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because like any of those strategies that we mentioned, I mean, yes, you can actually make money doing those things. But the challenge is, I think, is like most people they get the shiny object syndrome.
What's that? Tell me what's shiny object syndrome?
So basically, they start off doing something, just say they're going to do wholesaling. And they see, oh man, you know what, there's this strategy, I can do, I can go to gator lending, right? Maybe I can just lend out money to other people,
Hmm.
and then so they hop onto that and it's like, maybe a couple months down the road, they say, oh, maybe I should start just doing lease options and they start going down that path. So just looking at different shiny objects that get in the way, right? Yes, you could make money in any of those that you do. But the thing is, if you don't really focus on those things, it's really hard to like um make it work for you. And then you hear like, oh, I tried that and it doesn't work,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And then notice to say, I tried it and it doesn't work, but they just tried it. They weren't committed into just jumping in and going all out, just really taking their focus and solely focusing on that to to grow it.
Hmm. So it really does take, rather than just a good intention and a good idea, you have to actually like put concentrated focus and work into it before even something start to even materialize or look like
Right,
valid options.
right. I mean, it's just like working out, right? So, for example, I remember when I first started getting back into the gym. I mean, my first session, I sucked. I didn't even finish my first session because, like, you know what? I'm out, right? But the thing is, I didn't give up. I just stuck with it. I just know that I would just stay consistent, and now I feel like when I'm in class, doing session, like I feel like, man, I'm getting better,
Yeah.
right? And so that's the same thing when it comes to business, when it comes to real estate investing, is you just got to take it, you know, in the beginning, it may suck or you may not feel like you're getting anywhere. Instead of jumping in and just trying something else, you just stick with it and just keep moving forward.
So where do you think is the hardest sticking point for people? Like if someone's watching this right now and they're like, yeah, I want to get into investing. I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like I know the value of it. I know that you're supposed to move into those spaces and move quadrants. Like what's like, do you think the hardest sticking point? Is it the shiny object syndrome, like doing too many things and not really getting that intentional focus? Or is it like they just don't even know where to start, like some guidance? Where do you see?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's because there's so many things, to choose from. the really is just pick the one thing and just stay the course and just focus, give yourself 6 months, give yourself, 9 months, right? A year, right? But also too, got to make sure that you're making some progress along the way,
Mhm.
right? I mean, if you're in like 6 months, you're like, maybe evaluate what is it that you're doing, right? Like, what is it that you're not doing in that space that you could be doing,
Mhm.
right? It's like, yeah, maybe you're in it, but are you making enough calls? Are you knocking on enough doors? Are you
Mhm.
talking to enough people, right? So evaluate, that's why it's so important to have like a community.
Mhm.
Like we've talked about this in other episodes,
Mhm.
right? To have
Absolutely.
community, to have somebody that you can hold you accountable, that's done the things that you've done,
Mhm.
that can help guide you.
I think that's really important because you're saying like put in a lot of work and then really evaluate your work
Mhm.
because you can go knock on 100 doors and like I think this ratio, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, is like knock on 100 doors, you'll probably get like 10 leads or so, maybe some more, and then you'll close probably 2 or 3 of them. Like probably like that, like the
Yeah,
ratio, right?
yeah,
So like if you knock on 100 doors and get 0 closes, it's like, and you go knock on another 100 doors and get another 0. It's like, well, maybe you should evaluate how
right,
you're doing it. Like maybe you're doing something wrong. You need to add a step or you're not doing everything
right,
efficiently. So
absolutely.
it's like focus with reevaluation and kept going and always getting better.
Hmm.
I think Alex Ramosi says like, do more,
Hmm.
increase your volume a lot, then do it better. And
Hmm.
once you know how to do it better, do more of that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And it's just like too, it's like if you're running, right? But if you're running the wrong direction, I mean, it doesn't matter how good you're running,
Doesn't matter.
right? It doesn't matter because you're going the wrong direction, right? So if you're running, like, start by making sure that you are going in the right direction,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I mean, it's I like to use like an airplane when it's flying from say Seattle to New York. They gotta, even though they're going the right direction, but they just gotta keep making those adjustments, right? So I mean, if you're running, that's the right direction because you're running, but now you gotta make some corrections, making sure that, okay, am I, talking to the right people? Am I hitting the right doors or whatever it is? You just gotta evaluate
Hmm.
instead of just going full speed ahead and kind of find out you're like you're right in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
lot of lost progress, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of lost
right. And
progress.
then it gets frustrating.
Yeah, I'd be,
Yeah.
dude, if I got frustrated, yeah, if I went 2 years in the wrong direction, doing the wrong thing, it's like I'd be so frustrated. Like,
Right.
what could that look like 2 years from now? But
Yeah, absolutely.
so for you, Keto, when you had that focus, like you were telling me recently, like it took about 6 to 9 months of real like focus, discipline on just one thing, getting buy and holds, so that you can now have like the properties that you have in the portfolio that you have. Um, what what's the biggest like key that you learned like to do more of that, but then do it better, than do more? Like,
Right. I think for me in the beginning, I really like focused on like, hey, I was gonna just wholesale. It's and I was good at finding the deals and really and liquidating it, right? I could acquire, do the acquisition, then I would do the disposition,
mhm,
right? And then it came to a point where that was good, but it was, I was making income, but then I would have to start over. Like, okay, now that I've, wholesale a property, now to find another property, I would have to repeat, rinse and repeat, right?
mhm,
And I was talking to one of my mentor, and I was like, Keto, you're good at finding deals. Like, why don't you focus on, keeping those deals and instead of just selling them off? Yeah, sure, you get a spike in income, right? But wouldn't it be better if you kind of hold them and just stack up that monthly rental income each and every month? And I thought, well, what, he's right. Like, what, maybe that's so I kind of from that moment we put together our plans, like, okay, how many properties do I need to hit my financial goal that I wanted?
mhm,
So it's like, okay. And for like the next 6, 8 months or so, I'm like, you know what? That's gonna be my focus. So I went from making, you know, chunks of money in real estate, doing wholesaling. I just went from, okay, now I'm just stacking. So each rental, 300, 400, $500, right? And you start stacking those up, stacking those up, stacking those up. And pretty soon you get to the point where you look back after that direct focus, and it's like, wow, I think within 6 months, we were able to hit our financial goals.
Mhm.
And I didn't even realize it till I sat back and looked at our books. And it's like, okay, wow, we've got to making money from this property, this property, this property, this property. Like, wait a minute. Yeah, we hit our financial goals. And that was just totally just, goes back to just really focusing on that one thing. And that one thing was, how could I find properties that I can hold, that I can cash flow and keep stacking it up? And what was crazy was we had a 3-year plan. Like our goal was, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this in 3 years. But we're able to compress that in like, 6 months.
Uh-huh.
So that was just focus, right? And even in a time where at that time the market was really hot. I mean, sellers were getting over asking price. They were basically getting whatever they want. They have a house in the market and to put out some price, and people would pay it, and sometimes even more.
Uh-huh.
You have multiple
Yeah.
people that would pay more. The thing was, I was getting stuff that was off market, so I wasn't competing with your traditional retail buyers. But that's due to just focusing on that one thing.
Yeah. And you find yourself like when you've done that focus and now 3 years later, right now you're really good at those things. And now even your percentage of closing, your percentage of acquisition is like now much higher than it was even 3 years ago.
Right.
Right.
And it's like too before, like, I'm in different stage of my I think my investing career, where I'm just trying to improve my processes, improve my systems. And because now we have a portfolio, so that's a whole new skill set, helping managing the property. We have a full-time property manager, just learning that aspect of things, how to manage the managers, right? Making sure that they're doing the things that needs to be done when the clients call in. I mean, they're tenants, but I call them clients because it's a business, right? And our clients are just as important as we are, because they pay our bills, and we in return give them a nice, clean, safe place for them to stay.
Nice. Yeah, that's wonderful. But do you find that even now, from those years of focus to get your portfolio, and then to now, do you still have to maintain, like, man, I gotta focus in, I'm doing too many things, I gotta really narrow down?
Absolutely. I mean, I still get I still get distracted by other things. I mean, it still happens, right? And but that's the thing, is when I find myself doing that, it's okay, what do I need to bring back my focus? So
how do you bring back your focus? They say, like, I was like, yeah, I want to do this in my business. Like, all these things are making so much money. Like, how would you narrow down to, like, say, what questions would you ask yourself to focus down on one, narrow down?
Yeah, for me, it's like, what's important to you. That for me, I'm trying to do like more with less.
Okay.
Right?
More with less.
More with less. Thinking that I don't have to add additional like properties to my portfolio. It's like, how can I do with what I have, right? How can I increase those? Because, like, for example, like, we have properties that need some work. Instead of adding more properties, like, why don't we just fix these properties? That could add another 2-3 extra units to our portfolio, and we don't have to spin out a lot. Like, acquiring a property takes a lot more money than just say, if I have a unit that needs repair, might take me $10,000-$15,000, versus putting $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 on a new property, or $100,000, right? So it's like, how do I do more with less, with the time that I have, right? Like, in my business, what's really working? And then it's like, instead of trying to do something new, it's like, how can I improve on that?
So again, more, better, more, and finding out what you're really you come back and like, what are my goals? Whereas, like, I really don't want more properties, more things to manage. I really want more time, or I want a bigger bang for my buck, or I want, like, whatever your goal is, right? Like, I want to scale, or you do want a whole bunch of growth, right? That's your choice, is like just trying to focus, make it that goal, focusing on that goal as much as you can.
Right. Yeah. And then versus like trying something completely like new, right? I mean, if things are working, like how can I improve it? Instead of going after like, oh man, maybe I should get into this type of business. Maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna focus on like, I'm looking at my portfolio, okay, what can I improve on in here that could add more revenue versus going out and buying more stuff that can, that creates additional work. It's like I have enough work in hand here. How can I fix it? And sometimes, like it's like a tree. Like as a tree grows, you got to prune it, right?
Yeah,
You got to start pruning it. So, as you know, in the last couple of months, we started pruning, just started liquidating some of the stuff that we had in our portfolio. But the interesting thing is, it's not that it's taking away on the income, right? Because now we got a chunk of money to improve those that will make up for what we're liquidating. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then you can raise rents and you can get better tenants.
Raise rents, and that's my thing. Is I'm working on improving my tenant pool because, as you know, the area that I invested is not like it's not the best part of town. Right. But I see a future in there, I see an opportunity for growth, and things are, as I look at it, I'm like planting a seed because I see this happen in like the Seattle, Tacoma area where neighborhoods was just, man, nobody wanted these neighborhoods. Like people would just like, you tell them certain neighborhood and they're like, oh, I would never buy in there. But over the years, people start buying, cleaning it up, and now the neighborhood just totally changes and those home values go up. And that's what I'm, looking forward to this particular part of town that I'm investing in. I'm starting to see the changes. I'm not sure if you have driven by there lately, but
no, because no one wants to go to the south side. No one wants to go over there, guys.
But
like you go down there because you have to. Most people.
But things are changing. I'm seeing new buildings, new shops popping up. And the problem that I have, I'm cleaning up. I show that fourplex that we just got done renovating looks nice now.
It does, yeah. It really adds, like it really does bring the whole value of the home up. So like, I praise God for that for you, and like you're gonna make things happen. Like you're not gonna leave things where they are. Like you have a goal to like revise things, like bring life to things. And so that's wonderful. So one thing I think you can say this is good, Quito, but on the same token, like being motivated to go do work and the dial in your focus to like get focused on something, not have a shiny object syndrome. People also be focused in on like study, learning, like you know your business now, you've understood it, you've learned from new people. Now like you're focusing like, okay, I'm going to sell these, to prune this, to revamp these, to get more money here, to get better tenants here. That then increases my goal, right? It's like you've studied enough to go and then focused in on something, make it happen. Do you find that's helpful?
Oh,
as well?
Absolutely. It's always, always be learning, right? I'm never like, I'm always listening to like podcasts of different, investors, and also too, like, also not just podcasts in your industry, which is good, right? But listen to other stuff that is outside of your industry to get like a broader picture of what's going on. So, I mean, I'd like to do that as much as I'd like to listen to stuff related to real estate investing. I'll look at stuff that, maybe on like, cooking or just something that's kind of outside of my, the immediate industry that I'm at, just to kind of broaden my sense, I guess.
Yeah, how to build a hot dog stand.
Yeah, exactly. Doing something like doing stuff that kind of gives you something different,
Yeah.
But it's always good to actually, obviously always have a pulse in your industry, whatever industry that you choose to do.
Yeah.
Right. To whatever business you're in. Like you, I mean, you're doing the drop-in, childcare thing.
Play cafe.
Yeah,
so
play cafe.
And so it's really helpful. It's like I could go and learn business in general, which is helpful, right? Like really broad business, very helpful of learning like how does business actually work. But then it's like you got to get more niche. So like there's a play cafe academy that's like just focused on people building a model of like parties, open playtime, cafe spots, like, and that's the model. And like, how do you do that model really well? And so diving into a study like that, like it's so helpful to pay for someone else's knowledge to then specialize in your business so you can be a niche that actually like when you're focused in on that niche, then you can actually flourish in that niche, like things start to work and like
Right.
things go forward. So yeah, be broad and then be niched. But I think with entrepreneurs, our constant trouble is shiny object syndrome.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think
for
even
sure.
for hobbies, like I'm looking for a new hobby for some reason. I was like, bow hunting. That sounds like a great
Okay.
like shooting arrows. Like,
Mhm.
and my wife's like, no,
Uh-huh.
don't start. And your wife's like, yeah, keto, don't cook anymore. I'm like,
Right, yeah. So and it's like I'll be so even with the hot dog cart that I'm building, I think I got bored one day. It's like, wait, well, let me just do something else. But but at the same time, it when you do something like outside your industry, it gives you, I think, what's a different part of your brain. And because I'm not so much like using, I'm like, even though I do like the rehab, I don't actually do it. I mean, I pay somebody else to do the work, right? But it's nice to kind of do something that, I mean, because I'm actually using the saw to cut and build things, like using my hand, which I wouldn't really do on a rehab project, but at least on my own little thing, like I'm using different part of my brain, and then I can understand. And I appreciate, a good skill worker, that's working on our properties and how they, because it's like, I mean, there's lots of problem solving skills when you're rehabbing something, to try to make things work, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that aspect from my contractors and stuff.
Absolutely. That's good. Well, great.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining,
Yeah, thanks for hosting.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, I like to do more of these often where we get together and, chat versus just going on Zoom. So
Yeah, I like that a lot better. It's nice to like be flesh and blood
yes,
people
that's right.
with you.
Yeah.
There's something like there is something different about it. Like you can be on a Zoom call and be like, I'm really uninterested. Even if someone's like a great speaker, like Tony Robbins is on a Zoom call, and you're like seeing him speak, and you're like, he's like, I'm talking to you right there. It's like there's just something different. Like if you're in the room with Tony Robbins, like that's a different energy.
It is, and I mean, and you get like, I mean, like recently, was last year actually, took the kids to a Tony Robbins, and I mean, and there's like, I don't know, 5,000-10,000 people in attendance. I mean, it's just crazy. But just the energy you feel, and you feed off of each other. Just like us sitting here, because I know most of the time we do a Zoom, calls and stuff, but it's different when you're here, we're talking, we feed off this energy, which is kind of hard to translate, digitally. So
absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Well, thanks for having me, man.
Well, thanks for coming, and thank you for joining us on our episode, and join us next week.